Yes, now my mic's on. How you going, legends? How are you? What is cracking? I always miss that cue. I always miss it. I always miss it. That don't matter. Dude, I'm so happy to be back doing this. This is like my first one in... No, it's not. I did T-Rex Autopsy recently. That one was really fun. That one was the one that got me back into it. But we're here. It's Monday night. I'm feeling like a couple of cold ones with a buddy. And I thought, well, we got Ram It Down. Number 3 coming up on the 15th of December. So I thought, who better to get on for a little bit of a Monday night drinking session than the man, the myth, the legend, the guy that makes it all possible, Lance Holland-Keen. How are you, buddy? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Cheers, cheers, cheers. What are you drinking on tonight?
So, I'm going to start off with something a little on the lighter side. It's from Slow Lane Brewing.
Ooh.
So, I don't know whether you know Slow Lane. They're in Botany. They're not very far from One Drop.
Okay.
Maybe about 100 yards around the corner. And they specialise in the sort of European, German type stuff.
Oh, so like
this
Pilsners
one
and...
is a barrel-aged table beer. They do a massive variety. Like, you go in, they've probably got about 10 on tap on any given day, but then all the other stuff that they do, they've got in their fridges. So this is one out of that. So it's not a particularly strong one, but I thought it will get us underway.
Oh.
And, it's pretty light, but it doesn't taste light. It tastes like a full-on, full-strength beer.
See, that's the balancing act, eh? There's nothing worse than getting a beer or getting a light beer and it's just water. I can't stand it. There's no body to it. They're just thin. Like I've noticed when I've gone out now, I've seen it's the Bolter's Hazy Light. And that is a sensational light beer. It's really good. It's a nice full body beer. It makes you feel like you're drinking a beer.
Well, that's it. I mean, I have gone through phases where, I don't drink a lot of beer all the time because that would be bad. But, it's kind of good though. There is probably half a lifetime ago in my 20s, I would have scoffed at the idea of drinking alcohol-free beer. I'll be like, what's the point? Beer's beer. How is a beer if it's not got alcohol in it? But, you get older, you get some health stuff going on and what have you, and then you realise, you know what, I want a beer, but I don't necessarily want the alcohol. So I've done a lot of, you look behind me there.
Just about to say, I'm going to just zoom in, or just get to you. Look at that, man. That is a collection. Oh, and it keeps going. Oh, wow.
Yeah, all the way to the ceiling. So they're all empties of things. I'm not going to spin the laptop around because I'll accidentally unplug it and then the battery will die or some shit. But above all the windows in the room that I'm sitting in, I've got shelves with more on. And a fair few of them are from alcohol-frees, including some alcohol-free stouts. Because I like a dark beer,
yeah.
But even with the alcohol-containing stouts, sometimes they're just not, they're just not right. But I've actually found a couple of good ones. Galaxy Stout by, can't remember anyway, but there's a Galaxy Stout that's an alcohol-free, and I actually taste it's a good stout, 0 alcohol. And then you're laughing because you can barbecue at 10 o'clock in the morning, as I sometimes do, and you don't even have to start on the alcohol. It's a perfect world.
You have a smoker, don't you? That's why you're barbecuing at 10 o'clock in the morning. You have a smoker, don't you?
No.
No? Oh,
no,
that's
I'm
normally
not.
why I might barbecue. You ever seen this? Wifey got her hands on this one for me. I'll show you real quick, if you can see that.
Yeah, I've only ever had the Zitho Brewing Stout, so I've not seen that one.
I've got the stout in the fridge. This is a hemp IPA.
How's it?
It's a hemp IPA. So
Yep.
and mate, I'm very interested. I'm very interested in how this tastes because you think about it, hops and I guess hemp
Yeah.
have a very similar profile. They have a very similar look. And I love an IPA.
I think it would get a decent head on it with the protein from the hemp. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's looking like it.
It's a beautiful colour.
Yeah.
Like for an IPA, you sort of expect something a little bit, I don't know, a bit more darker. Normally.
Mm.
Oh, it smells really sweet.
One Drop are actually doing, they've got one that they've got hemp seed oil in at the moment. That was it on tap or did I buy it out of the fridge? But yeah, I find, I love my One Drop. If you look down there, those are all One Drop cans because I went on a bit of a One Drop binge the other week.
Nice.
Because they also have just fantastic artwork. What's this one? This is a Dark Harp Black IPA, and I don't know whether the camera will pick up that artwork.
6.7%. That's fantastic. That I love all the artwork and stuff like that that's coming out on the cans now, and it's almost like a good album cover.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really just picked up the game. But I will say when I first met Lance, it was at one of the last Stockade. Sorry, Bent Spoke was one of the last. Not Bent Spoke.
Iron Spoke.
God, I got them both mixed up. Iron Spoke brewery shows. And that's where we first met when I came down, and Carbon Black and yourself were playing.
Yep.
And I actually bought a Carbon Black shirt. I should have worn it tonight, actually. It's the VB looking one.
Yes.
And they just got the CB on it. Oh, mate, I love that shirt. But yeah, it's gone a long way from just those real sort of boring old cans now. It's a real standout. You need a graphic designer now to do your fucking marketing for your beer.
Well, look, we've I know Damon from Carbon Black, and he's helped out with the shirts that we've got for our band Decimator. We'll see how things go in. The momentum for Ram It Down seems to be building. We've got a metal show in the local area, and although I would much rather people are buying band merch. It'd be pretty nice to see some people walking around with Ram It Down merch. I mean, as you can see, I've got the Steel Assassins. This is from a couple of years ago that Dave Balfour does. I even got the shirt for the one that happened a couple of weeks ago, even though I couldn't actually go because I'm all about that support, that sort of stuff. So, yeah, shirts and the marketing and just getting the word out, that sort of stuff, it all helps. But you get a cool design. Yeah, that's the trick. I will be the first one to admit. Slow lane cans. You compare that slow lane can, and then you go around the corner, and you've got stuff like that from One Drop.
Yeah, see, you can't beat it.
And that was what is that one?
Oh, 9.8. Okay, was that soup? Oh, it's a pastry stout.
That was actually pretty good. A chai latte imperial pastry stout.
I don't mind pastry stouts. I reckon pastry stouts are a bit underrated, personally. I had a cookie dough. I had a Belgian one. If you're ever out in the mountains way, there's a mob called Murray Porter's liquor store. They have a couple of them, but they got some serious selection of beers and international ones. And I actually had one that was this cookie dough cinnamon toast stout, pastry stout.
Oh.
And it was sensation. It was really, really, really good. It was really good. It was the weirdest sensation because it just changed depending on where, as you were drinking it.
Yep.
So it was really interesting. It was good. But I've got to say, one of my favourite designs is the Feral Brewing Co. You ever tried their stuff? Feral Brewing Company?
Feral.
Yeah, Feral Hog.
Yeah. I've
Oh,
had. There's one up here. There's their Eper or something like that up
yeah,
here.
the Imperial
Um,
IPA. Yeah, I love their beer.
there was a couple of months back, Hopsters in Enmore did they did a day partly sorted out by Metal Sydney Metal. So they had black metal playing. They had a DJ in there playing black metal, the sort of darker
Hey,
stuff, and they changed the taps. Nearly all of it was dark. It was either black IPAs, black lagers, and there was a couple of imperials on there, and that was a day that you couldn't drive.
man, I'm a bit funny with the dark beers. Like, I'm never going to pick a stout unless I'm out. Have you ever had a 50s?
Mm.
Okay. When we go, when I catch it, thingo, at the next Rema down, I'll get you at 50s. What a 50s is, it's a half old, half new. And
Oh,
it is
well,
sense.
I like old.
Yeah, man, half old, half new. I don't like new, but I love me a 50s.
Yeah, look, I'd rather have 100% old, thanks.
Okay, fair enough.
But
Fair enough.
maybe that's because I'm feeling quite 100% old myself these days.
Ah, mate. Yeah, you do this strongman stuff too. Like, okay, so for those of you that don't know, if you ever want to find out where Lance's car is, you just look for the one with the big fucking log that lives on top of his four-wheel drive. That log is, so that's what do they, that's European hurl, what is it, Scottish hurling, Scottish
So
log hurling, or
that's so I've done strongman and I've done Highland Games since about 2008. And the Highland Games, one of the events is the caber that everybody calls. You do the log throwing, right? So yeah, sort of. You pick a log up. It's tapered, so you pick up the thin end, thick end's in the air. You run along with it, and then you try and flip it over. And the guy who flips it over the most accurately, straight ahead, is the best. That's the winner. But the cabers themselves weigh anything from 35, 40 kilos up to 70 or 80 kilos. There's even some international cabers, they're even heavier than that. So the one that was on top of my car for several weeks was probably about 55 kilos, something like that, and about 6 meters long.
Jesus, that is some serious. Okay, so let me get this straight. You got to hold that thing in two hands, and how far do you have to run with that?
Oh, the only reason you're running with it is to just get enough momentum so that you can then flip it. So you're
Whoa.
just trying to go fast enough that the thing will so you're using a bit of physics.
Okay, so basically, when you
Um,
stop, you lift your arms at the same time, and
yes. Yeah, yeah.
gravity in motion should just
So
take
you
it.
use physics to your advantage as much as you possibly can, but it's still not a particularly easy thing. So yeah, that's I still do that. I was actually I missed the last Iron Spokes that happened in August. I was actually overseas because I was competing in the World Masters Highland Games in Switzerland at the time. I think actually the same weekend that
Oh
Iron
yeah, I worked
Spokes
the door
5
that
went
night.
on.
I worked the door that night.
I was getting rained on in Switzerland and throwing things around in a field.
Jeez, what'd you come?
I got sixth.
Man, that is a really fucking good effort.
I got sixth,
What's the training regime like for that?
Oh, look, you try and get out and do the actual events, which is why I've got a log on top of the car, sort of a fair amount of time, so that I can go to a local field and take it off, and then go and train and actually do the actual events. And then I've got various weights and stuff that I'll go out and throw. And then it's sort of gym-based stuff, but less bodybuilding kind of movements, because it's not about having big muscles, it's about being able to throw things. So trying to be quick and things like that. But obviously the older you get, and it occurred to me the other day that in less than 30 days we'll be in 2024, and in 2024 I'll be able to say I'm 50 next year.
Oh.
But honestly, I'll joke about it, but yeah, I just keep going, because I can't imagine not doing it. So training is a balance of getting stronger and being able to do the events, and not hurting yourself any more that you're already hurt because you've been doing it for as long as you have.
Jeez, man, that's
not too much beer.
Yeah, you got to find balancing act. You got to be like one of the busiest people I've ever seen in my life. You do all this stuff for Ramp It Down and all the other little events that you sort of get involved in. You are a physician. You bloody do all this strongman stuff. You play in a band as well. And not just that, you obviously have a personal life on top of that. How do you manage your fucking time? Please tell me.
I guess by squeezing things into where I can. So a lot of kind of multitasking. So I guess some of the band stuff was already done. So in terms of the songwriting and things like that, we recorded an album a couple of months ago. So that is just in a mixing and editing stage now. So hopefully Decimator will actually have something out on streaming in the next month or two. We are planning to have a single release very, very soon. And ironically, the single that we're going to release was the first song we wrote after Ethan joined the band just under a year ago. So I founded the band with Mike Lamacha, who now plays in Asura. And we founded the band nearly 3 years ago. Come January, it'll be 3 years ago that we founded the band, started playing together, started writing songs. Went through a few people. Then we had COVID, of course, so couldn't play live, couldn't even rehearse because you couldn't meet up at people's houses and stuff like that. Then Mike left just less than a year ago. Ethan joined, and one of the first songs we then wrote, because he's got his own sort of bit of his influences. I mean, mine are very much more the old school, new wave of British heavy metal, thrash, a bit of power, because I wouldn't really define us into one genre. And then he's more into the sort of new metal, much bigger fan of Pantera than I am. So slightly different styles. So we melded them together with the forthcoming single. So actually, the first one we release will be the most recent song we wrote, because it was this incarnation of Decimator, if you like. So, we try and get together, we rehearse, the Ram It Down. Part of it the seed was sort of sown just over a year ago. I was talking to Sam and Cassie, Monkrud, and Kyle, and the guys from Firefly, because we were all playing a gig in Chatswood, and Sam and Cassie were there as well. I'm like, there's nothing out in the Southwest. There's no venues that are particularly metal friendly. There's the Campbelltown RSL puts on the Resurgence, that's run by Gerard, who owns Guitar World. And that's sort of once a month, but there's some original bands, and then it's the sort of house band made up of lots of guys that have been in bands, not in bands at the moment, stuff like that, playing covers. But there was nowhere where true originals. And I just said, look, let's find a venue and make it happen. So I think April was the first Iron Spokes one. I was just lucky to find a brewery, of all places, that was interested in hosting, and it just went from there. So it's local as well, which is why it doesn't take up huge amounts of time. It's not like I'm commuting and trying to organise gigs in the city. And then, you know, a couple of things happened in the past couple of years that made me reevaluate how many hours I work. So I work quite hard, and I, you know, work most days, but I don't do particularly long hours, just so that it was manageable for mental health. So, I'm not there 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's just not manageable. And managing mental health as much as physical health just had to become more of a sort of priority. So I guess that's how that fits in. And then in terms of training, I don't spend 2 hours training. I might spend half an hour or an hour training, and I might do it 4 hours a week. So, but to me, it's just evolved over time. So it seems like in some ways, I'm doing less training than I used to, because I am, but it's what my body will tolerate at the moment. So everything just kind of like a jigsaw, everything kind of fits around it. And I'm incredibly lucky that my partner supports Mel. I mean, one of the things we connected about was we were just sharing music. We were actually at a wedding and we were sharing different bits of music. And I was like, oh, you like this? Well, you'll probably like this as well. And it just turned into several hours of just, Opeth, Hailstorm.
Oh, it's always awesome when you have connections with people. See what music does, everyone. This is why. Weird vibrations in the air make you feel things and make you talk to people and make new friendships, and that's why we love music so much. It's when you really think about it, all it is vibrations in the air that make noise.
Well, and then you get deeper into it. What are we? And matter is partly energy and vibration. So it's like you said, it's all of everything. I mean, I know some people can't go without music. They can't have silence. I actually find that I often am driving to and fro from the eastern suburbs, but sometimes I actually won't have music playing in the car. Partly because I'm driving on the M5 and you just never know what idiot you're going to come across on the M5, right? But, sometimes I think it hits more when you're not listening to it all the time. The other thing is I'm sometimes not listening to other people's music because I'm like, okay, I've got thoughts around the next song. We're currently writing a bunch more tracks as the current 4-piece. So we've got we're gonna actually just ram it down next Friday, because everybody who's in the local area should be going to it. I'm aware that it clashes with a couple of other things that are on, which is unfortunate, but what can you do? It doesn't clash with any other metal event in Southwest Sydney, right?
No.
So there's no excuse for not attending the only metal event in Southwest Sydney next Friday night. We've got awesome bands playing, and mostly local bands as well. I'll forget because I haven't got the poster in front of me, but we've got Witch Diana, local lads. We've got Green Manalishi, local guys. Well, actually, they're spread out all over the place, to be honest. We played Chatswood with them the other week. They've got a new guitarist who's based in the mountains. They've got someone else who's down in Wollongong. But Steve, the guy that plays bass, he's local. So we've met up at the venue a couple of times. They're playing. We've got Symptoms Persist are going to come all the way up from Goulburn again.
Liberty Guns.
Sorry?
Liberty Guns.
Liberty Guns, yes.
Firefly.
Almost local. War Rages Within.
Yeah, War Rages Within.
Firefly. Yeah.
It's gonna be. This is gonna be a good one. They're all good, to be fair. To be very fair, I've got to say the last one. I'm in the process of finishing the video at the moment. The audio was a bit caca on my last video. I'm just trying to fix it. But I'll tell you what, the new metal scene. Oh, it's covered. It's covered. It's gonna get revved out, everyone. Tell you what. Last week was good, man. Last month was really good. and it's only going to keep getting better. And that's the fun thing, you know. We did that giveaway with the tickets last month, which was fantastic. Glenn walked away with 5 shirts. Was it Glenn or Graham? Pretty sure it was Glenn. But either way, 5 shirts. Walked away with a whole bunch of gear, which is really good. And this month, there's 2 giveaways. So this month we've got the merchandise giveaway which goes with the tickets, and we will be selling extras this time. And also there is a guitar giveaway, and that is another raffle that we're doing separately. That you can only buy the raffle tickets to that, which would be good. And it's
you know, as this was your idea. Remember, you've got to take credit. Your credit where it's due. And again, for anybody that's listening and stuff like that, you know, Carl came down. We met at that Iron Spokes. I think it might have been the second or the third one. I'm not sure.
It was the June one.
I can't remember because it might have been the first because it was cold, it was wet, and it was busy. It was awesome.
It was very busy.
And you know, you said, yeah, get involved. You know, stuff happens, things happen in between. And then we've got together and then, you know, running the raffle. So everybody that buys a ticket, it's $15 to get in and see 6 bands. You do not get that very often.
No.
And if you do get it, you will be paying a lot more for the drinks and the food than you'll be paying at Sporties, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, the other thing I'd encourage everybody, if you're in the local area, join the club as a member. It doesn't cost that much, and you get like $1 off, and then the beer's like $6.80 a schooner or something.
And you can't complain with that. 6 bands.
You can't complain.
Cheap
I mean, God
schooners.
knows what people were paying at Good Things the other day, right?
Yeah, and if you go downstairs, they actually have bolters on tap. You don't just have to drink the stuff upstairs. They have some pretty decent stuff downstairs. The food is actually pretty good. I got a pizza there last week, and it was absolutely fire. The people down there are so nice. And it's genuine.
So
it's genuinely.
You've actually tried out the new caterers, then, hey?
Yeah, I tried them last week. I think they had a bit of a freak out. I think someone might have jumped a bit hard, and some dust fell from the. And the guy was so nice. He came upstairs and he was like, Well,
actually,
I think
they've changed the caterer since the last gig that we did there.
Oh.
The caterer has changed, so it's new menu in the bistro. They do family meal deals and stuff like that. So what I always try and do when we get close to the time, and I'll be at the venue this week, putting some flyers down, seeing about local interest. What I'll do is on the Ramekdown page, I'll actually post the bistro menu. So if people were coming, because of course this is all ages, right? Bring the kids. Bring the kids. They can eat. You only need to go downstairs. You don't need to leave the gig, go all the way to Macca's, come back or whatever to make sure the kids are fed or whatever. No, bistro downstairs.
Yeah, it is pretty good, man. I'm bringing my kids this month. My kids will be coming down for the Christmas one. Who knows? A beer buddy Santa might even make it down.
Oh,
yeah.
Well,
depending on how hot it'll be, he might just have to cut his stuff down to.
I'm on to my second.
Yes, I'm about to grab my second. What do you got here?
One.
Let's have a look. Ooh, Escabirco. Okay, old dark ale. Hills Shire.
So, Hillshire of Sydney.
Yeah, that's I wonder if that's like in Castle Hill.
You can probably read the small print on there, but actually I can probably read it off my computer screen better than I can read it off
I got these man.
eyes, you know. So, yeah, anyway, so all ages, bistro on site, newly upgraded menu. So what I'll do is I'll go into the venue and I'll post. They do specials. I'll make sure everybody who's coming down to the venue, you just go on the Ramekdown page, go on the event page. You don't have to think about what you're going to do. I'll post it all there so people know, all right, bistro menu, you can plan your meal before you get there.
What's up, Cass? How are ya? Mate, it's going to be very, very. I can't wait. I'm yet to see Firefly. I cannot wait to see them.
You
Cannot
are
wait to
in
see that
for a
set.
treat.
Cannot wait to see that set. There might be an extra special video for them boys. Might try and slip into all the good spots there and just be annoying. The hardest thing is, right, is that when I make my videos and that, is try not to be annoying to the rest of the punters that have paid to come in. Because I'm sure the last thing they want to see is the back of my head with my phone out trying to film stuff. I think it's disrespectful, just personally. And I like, the band, the people that are paying deserve to see the bands, not me fucking running backwards and forwards.
Well, I can announce I've told the bands that are involved, but we've got Sluglord Photography are going to be there next Friday. So Rob from Sluglord, we're going to get some real high quality video and stuff like that and coverage. Like Rob did one of the Narellan gigs for us. We've got multiple angles and stuff like that, and that is nothing against anybody who's just, you've got your GoPro on your tripod or whatever. If you can find a table and nobody knocks it over for you, you know what I mean? But yeah, we're gonna have video from Rob that's going to be available usually a week or two after the event. So, we want to try and build this as much as we can, because we really are. I think it's just transition. So it's basically Iron Spokes. It's just at a different venue. It was called Iron Spokes because it was like Iron Spokes Brewery. Now it's called Ram It Down because, of course, the logo is the ram because of the MacArthur sheep farming from years ago. And, if you've got a ram, can you afford to ignore the Judas Priest reference with Ram It Down? So,
mate, did you check out the new Judas Priest song?
I saw the video for it just the other day.
Fire.
And I've kept up with Priest, but to be honest, I don't listen to a lot of the bands that I used to listen to as much anymore. Like Maiden, I've got all the albums. I've got Senjutsu, but I even hesitated to pull the trigger on getting concert tickets for Maiden for next year, because I was like, I've seen them most of the times they've been out. I just didn't see them when they came out for Big Day Out or something like that. I didn't see them that time, but somewhere back in time, and then when they came out after Book of Souls, and they're great. But I'm like, at the same time, I feel very privileged that I'm putting on these gigs in Camden, and I see 6 bands a month, and I'm like organising it, and that's what the other thing. I just organise it. I'm just a guy with a spreadsheet. I'm just a guy who does a spreadsheet with lots of bands, on the spreadsheet, who just went to a venue and went, "Will you put on metal bands?" And they said yes to this guy. So then, spreadsheet.
Yeah,
and then,
but
I just say,
it takes someone. But it takes someone, man.
Give me a shout.
But you think it's just like Bruce Lee said. The smallest pebble. You drop it in a pond, and the ripples start small, but they always get bigger, and they can eventually turn into waves. So what? Yeah.
Well, this is it. This is part of doing this interview today that you offered to do. But you being there, helping out on the door, taking the videos, sharing the stuff. I have to give a huge thank you to Cassie Moncrude, who will be playing with War Rages Within next week.
Can't wait for that.
And who is back with Antonomasia next year. Cassie does all the poster stuff, like all the silly AI stuff. Yeah, that's me. I do that because it just kind of makes it more interesting, and I can't possibly afford to be paying a professional artist to come up with interesting stuff every couple of days. And I think it's fair enough to use AI in that way, just to generate, you'll look at a thing and you go, oh, what the hell is that? There's 7 fingers on that guitarist or whatever. But that's AI images of musicians for you. But without Cassie, the whole look, the whole visual that you go online and you see with Ram It Down, it wouldn't exist. It'd be me using Word and bodging together some crappy looking flyer. Look, honestly, it wouldn't be. Somebody else would do it. But, you know, Cassie, straight from the beginning, stepped forward and she's like, I'll do this. I want to do this. Don't even give me anything for it, man, because this is what we need. So that was the idea when we first talked about this. It's keep it within the community. It's why I'm not going out trying to get this band or get that band. I'm like, bands, do you want to play? And then they message and they're like, what dates have you got? These are the dates. You want to play? Let's do it. You know, let's give you somewhere to play that's in Southwest Sydney.
And that's all you can ask for, really. Like, at the end of the day, all you can ask, and the noise it is generating at the moment, you know, you had that, I think it was the first or second month there? Where you got you busted 70 through the door.
Yes.
You know, so, and it's just unfortunate that the last month happened to fall onto bag and show nights. But one thing that we actually got to put out there as well is if you're one of those bands that's just starting out and you're looking for somewhere to cut your teeth, especially you under 18s ones that can't get into pubs,
yep.
This is your spot.
100%.
This is your spot. Like, this is your home. Like, we want to. This is what Ram It Down is built for. It's built for community and trying to get everyone playing shows. This is what you do all the practice for.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm looking. I was looking at my spreadsheet of all things a couple of hours ago, and we have actually got pretty much shows booked full. So 6 bands a month through till April right now. Now, inevitably, there's going to be stuff changes, stuff happens, and a band or two might have to switch around. But that's pretty impressive that I've got bands that are keen to play, and we're booking that far ahead. From my perspective, being in a band, I love having loads of notice on when a show is, because then at least if something changes, you know well in advance. You can let the promoter know. But booking gigs like 3 or 4 weeks in advance is a pain in the arse, because all of a sudden you've got to change that, and you will have plans and stuff. So exactly right what you said. Younger bands, you know, it doesn't matter what subgenre. You know,
Metal's metal. I don't buy into that crap. Metal's metal.
We've had hardcore. I mean, Chronic headlined the last event.
Yeah.
They were kick ass.
Fucking sensational.
That was the kick ass. So, you know, we're not, not this genre metal, not that genre metal. As we go forward, the more time ahead, you know, if I can sort of juggle the set lists around or the playing time, so we get the 2 darker metal ones and we get the 2 proggy ones together and stuff like that, that kind of makes sense. But I'm not there'll never be a night unless it just happens to coincidentally fall that way, where it's going to be tonight it's all blackened death metal, or tonight it's all thrash. There'll always be, because of 6 bands gives us that flexibility. It's almost like a festival. You are going to get a thrashier one, a more trad one, maybe prog in the middle, maybe, you know, symphonic or metalcore at the end. So you're really going to get your money's worth. And it's for people that aren't too... I mean, you'll have people that will only come for their band. Right, that's fine. That's fine. This is for anybody who wants to see the bands, who wants to come for the music. And the chances are you'll hear a band and you'll go, actually, I've never heard of them. They were really good. And then you seek them out, because that's the other thing, you know, it just gives bands exposure to people that might not otherwise have seen them. We had people come to the Iron Spokes gig from like Castle Hill as a family, like 2 parents, 2 little kids who were coming that far, because they're like, you can't go to a metal show with your kids, even these big festivals. My kids are teenagers now. But the thought of going to a big festival with two little ones, ah,
Oh my God. It's like Easter show, but I'm there to have a good time.
yes, yeah,
And they won't let me.
no, no.
Oh man! Oh look, and when I took my kids down there, I'll tell you what, they had the best time. They had so much fun. It was that bad. They hopped in the car on the way home. They demanded that their mother put on more heavy metal, and they just headbanged all the way home. And it's experiences that you get to have with your kids, man. And that's I'll tell you what. And this is heavy metal is generational in my fucking family. Cassie's on, aka Ramden Metal Fest. I like that, Ramden. I like that. Where'd that comment go? Did you take that away, Cass? I can't read that comment now. Well, let me read it. Hold on. No, she took it down. That's all. But yeah, like metal is generational in my family. Like my dad listens to metal. We're going to Iron Maiden together. My kids are so hard into it now, and my wife just looks at me now and she just laughs her ass off because I always said this. This is one thing I always said. I said the kids when they grow up, they may not like me, but they will appreciate the gift of music that I give them. And now they listen to so much, and they're just so broad with their music, and it's the best way to be.
I think that's even better than you don't really want them to lock into just one genre, because you want them. I think you want with your kids, as in music, as in life, you want them to have an open mind to stuff and not be closed down. I think the worst thing you can do as a parent is give your kids this idea. It's all black and white. This thing that you believe, that you know, this is the most important thing and everybody else is wrong. And I think metal is probably one of the genres which opens up that as much as anything else, because there's all sorts of different political voices and stuff like that. Lots of stuff is tackled. Look, a lot of the songs that I've written so far with Decimator, there's the general classic trad stuff, historical stuff, Roman Legion. We've got one in the pipeline at some point about Genghis Khan. But then a lot of it is about emotional stuff, and that will always be the case. Music is going to be how you express and how you process stuff. And the other thing is not thinking too much about, and I think this is important in metal, which is to get away from that too down in this subgenre, none of this elitist gatekeeper crap. It's the whole point of metal, the whole point most of us get into it in the first place is because it's not what everybody else is doing. You're not going to be a conformist. But then if you get into this gatekeeper elitism stuff, you're actually enforcing a conformity on this thing that attracted you because you don't like conformity. It is the worst kind of hypocrisy.
I actively go out of my way to look the least like a metalhead I possibly can whenever I go to metal shows. Just so I stand out like a sore thumb, because I refuse to conform to that sort of conformity.
Oh, look, you've seen us play, right?
Oh, dude, I was just about to say your bass player looks like he should be playing in a fucking indie band. I love it.
If I had the meme skills, I'd do a photo of Cohen, and I'd be like, if your bass player looks like this, ... because we all know that meme. We all know that meme, right? If your bass player looks like this, you're about to die in the pit. I don't think, if anybody, I don't want anybody to die in any pit, right? And I certainly don't want it to happen at the gigs that
metaphorically
that I'm running, because I have to say that as a healthcare professional. But at the same time, that's exactly it. And it was like, well, I don't care if you don't wear a black t-shirt. In fact, the last gig we played, we headlined Chatswood a couple of weeks ago. He was actually wearing black, but it was a collared button-up shirt. So, you know.
Hey, it's just as long as you're comfortable and you're playing good music. Cassie said, "Ram It Down is awesome for those who want to see live music and hang out with the bands too." That is so true, and
Absolutely.
that is the most fun part. And you know what? That's what I think a lot of bands sort of miss out on. And I get it. You get discouraged when you think you sit there and you play to nobody and stuff like that. Look, a lot of these bands got to understand is that nobody's seen you before, so no. I guess you got to earn the stand up, if that makes sense. You got to earn bum. If you have bums in seats watching you for the first time, that is a good sign. As long as people aren't getting up and walking out, the next time you play, the bums will be out of those seats. I promise you. It's just like a rite of passage. People are always going to sit and suss you out, and then the next time you play there, or the next time you go a show, and people will go, "I remember those dudes. I'm going to get up and watch these guys."
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're going to get it. You get it in all walks of life, right? You know, some of it might be timing. Some of it might be what set you play. Some of it might be how drunk the crowd is. But that's just how it is. And they might be drunk and they might be talking really loudly and ignoring you. Mm. What I always said from starting our band, and it as the result of trying to get as much knowledge before I started Strongman. I watched videos before I did Highland Games. I did stuff. And before I was in the band, before I founded the band and started the band, yeah, sure, I played guitar, but being in a band is a different thing. Being in a band is a different thing. And being in a band and just doing your own thing and never playing live is a different thing to playing live. And I'd always said to everybody, you know, it doesn't matter how many people look like they're paying attention, play as if they are. You know, one of the best things about Ram It Down, and, you know, guys who've played it will attest to this 100%, is kids. Kids at the gigs, sometimes they're right up there. They've got their ear defenders on, great, but they're right up the front and they're running around, or they're getting right into it. They more than balance out the 20, 30, however many adults who are sitting around. Some of them are eating their schnitty, whatever. If you've got little kids and they're running around and they're into what you're doing, they don't need to get the message. They don't need to know the politics of the song. They don't need to understand the relevance of the Knights Templar, you know, to medieval Europe and the Arab world. They're into what you're doing. So you just play to that. Yes. You know, you just play to that. You just play. And maybe the person who is going to end up being most into you is the one who looks like they're least into you. They're right at the back of the room. You know, they're the shy. We had a gig. I just got back from Europe. So it was Penrith gig. And we played with Firefly, and there was a girl there who I think maybe was just 15, 16 or something like that. It was the first gig she'd ever been to, and her feedback to any of the band members who were still around as she was leaving was, that was amazing, you know. And I talked to Carl from Firefly, and I think he knows her from outside the sort of gig, and he was like, it almost was life-changing, because she just suddenly saw this vibe and this community, you know, people who were just being themselves. You know, so, you know, you are changing people. You might not see it at the time, but what will change them is you just getting into it, which is why I'm not about writing songs that I think people are going to like. I write because I like it, because I want to say it.
And this is the biggest thing what people need to understand about artists in general. There's two, I guess you could say there's two types of artists. Realistically, in some weird sense, there are people that will do stuff for the masses in order to appease people. But to me, true art is you create it, you make it, you send it out into the world, and the world will receive it however it is meant to be received at that time. At the end of the day, as a musician, as an artist, or anything like that, all as a human, all we do is create. That's what we do. It's fucking what we've been designed to do. We are the first creators of fucking so many things. So when and this is what I love about musicians. Musicians don't give a fuck how you receive it. They write it and they send it out. If it gets received good, then they're getting paid. If it gets received bad, it's just another song that gets out there into the masses. But the art's created. And whatever impact it has on the world is whatever impact it has on the world. And that's the best part about music. It's once it's done, and that's the best. Nobody knows. Like you might say, oh, okay, we're doing an album. But once the album's done and it's pressed, you go, there you go, world. And then you just wait and see how it gets received.
That's it. I mean, it's if it's something that you want to do. I mean, I think you're right. I think there are people, they might not be so much in our genre, right? They might not be in the heavy music genre, because if you really want to be making lots and lots of money, you're probably not making heavy music. So you've almost already, everybody who's making heavy music is the other sort of artist that is just doing it. Now within that, I'm sure there are guys who are trying to think, okay, what's in at the moment, but by that time, it depends whether you've got external pressure. So I don't think anybody in our underground scene, because you've not got a record company saying, no, you need to do this, you need to do that. The vast majority, 99.9% of the people that I've met so far in the scene, it's like you're self-producing, you're self-funding, you're doing whatever you want. Nobody's externally pressuring you. And
you are your own worst enemy in those situations.
Yeah. So, it's you can think. I think the best guide to shall we do this in a song is, do we think that fucking rocks?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that then.
Yeah. Do I like it? Realistically.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah. Listen.
Are we going to write a breakdown because there's always breakdowns? No. In fact, you know what? Let's not do a breakdown because everybody's doing it.
Yeah. And look, when me and Raf do the Two Dudes Talk Music thing, and we do reaction videos and stuff like that for video clips, we say we expected a breakdown in this part. It's just what we thought would have come here. And when you don't get when those expectations don't get met, sometimes it's fantastic. And you bring a really good point. I think a lot of bands now, because it's moving so quick, music moves like technology, like a computer. Like a band can make something great, and it's 6 months later it'll be completely forgotten about. And do you know what I mean? It sort of moves that quick with the amount of saturation of music out there. But what I think a lot of bands got caught up in with when you were talking about external pressures is that they hit a plateau with their music, and then they're trying to really fucking change the wheel. Do you know what I mean? They're trying to reinvent the wheel within their music, and it's just like, dude, you're not trying to do groundbreaking stuff. Just do what you do and do it fucking well, and do it with passion, because that's the biggest thing that shows. Because, man, we live in a country, if you want to know which group of I'm not going to talk about non-Western countries, because you'll have it heaps worse than what we do as far as listening to heavy metal goes. Western countries, Australia's got it the worst as far as trying to play heavy metal goes. We live in a country with 24 million people. We have metal is just like fucking less than 1%. It's probably climbing now, but as far as like when we talk about metal, everyone only likes the popular shit. Nobody's really scratching out to go to these local shows all the time and stuff, and people need to get out to them more, because we can eventually, because tell you what, the fucking bands in this country are top fucking notch. There is some serious talent out here that gets overlooked, and you can see some people in bands, in 3 different bands in like the 1 year, because it just hasn't worked out, or they've left, or whatever, and they're very talented people. But because of the lack of fucking exposure, just goes nowhere. Just goes, so many good bands fall into the abyss.
I think, look, there's all sorts of reasons, you know, fucking life will throw you curveballs. You know, that's how it is. Life will throw you curveballs, right? But I think if you know that you've got to be true to yourself, and you don't set out with, this might seem a bit negative and a bit cynical, but I'm nearly 50, so I'm allowed to be a bit negative and a bit cynical because I've been around the block a while, right? And if you set out with the idea that you're going to be the biggest band in the world and then you're not within 3 years, there's numerous stories. Oh yeah, they made the thing, you know, they said they were going to be the biggest band and now they're really well known. Okay, they probably weren't in metal. They probably never said that. They're just making up that they said it in retrospect to sound like, yeah, if you're into what you do and you believe in it and you just keep doing it. And if there's one person in the band who's just like driving it, because that is generally the case of most of the bands that I know, there is somebody in that band and they've got the vision. Now, occasionally, I guess, that vision gets transferred to somebody else in some sort of weird, you know, horror movie, you know, shocker kind of
possessed
jumps into the next person kind of thing. But somebody carries on holding the torch, and it carries on, and it doesn't matter about what else is going on, because it's still, because the only way you guarantee, if you give up, you're guaranteed. Okay, if you've given up, you're guaranteed you've gone nowhere. If you've carried on, you've given yourself a chance. And if you're into what you do and you exist for, we're making this music because this is the music we want to make, then I don't think you can go wrong with that. You're not going to make necessarily thousands, millions, any dollars, but you're going to have done what you believed in and you did it. And again, that's sort of part of the same thing with Ram It Down. You know, if you expect to sort of run gigs and always be making money and always covering all your costs, and that people are always going to come, it will die out, it will fizzle out, and it will be gone. And it might make you think, well, I'm not even going to do it in the first place, because, you know, I'd approached Campbelltown RSL, for example. I'd approached them about, okay, what if we take every alternate fortnight to the Resurgence gigs? No, they weren't interested. They're like, you know, oh, we're afraid it will dilute. There's not enough demand, you know, nothing will happen. And I just refused to accept that. But I also kind of accepted in starting it, this is not going to be a moneymaker. This is going to be primarily thinking about it as an opportunity for bands to play, for exposure. Bands want to play Southwest Sydney. People in Southwest Sydney don't want to travel to the city all the time. You know, your tolls and trying to find a park and all of that bullshit, you know, give them somewhere, give them something to go to. Maybe it will be massive.
It's look, and this is the thing, as time goes on, the caliber, look, at the end of the day, the more these bands get an opportunity to play, the standout one for me was Witch Grinder. They played at the first one I saw. I'm really happy that they're playing again at this next one. Witch Diana. Witch Grinder. Witch Diana. Yeah, I'm getting all my bands mixed up, man. But they were fantastic.
It's only Monday.
Oh, dude, I've had a fucking, Yeah, memories are better than money. Oh, extra stout. Far out. Foghorn Brewery. Oh, Newcastle,
nice.
Guys
are up Hunter Valley.
I'm on these. I'm a buddy got me into some hazy pale ales.
Oh yeah.
Colossal, is it Colossal? Yeah, Colossal Brewing, hazy pale ale. They're really nice. That hemp one was a bit overly sweet. It was weird.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Well,
It was tasty,
I
but
have had none of these are new beers to me. I have to say because I thought about cracking into. We were talking before we went on, went live. I was in Aldi the other day, and during Oktoberfest, disappointingly, the only thing I ended up with was a 5 litre keg of Paulana, which I still haven't actually cracked into because if you're going to crack into those kegs, I do believe you want to kind of drink them all in the one go.
yeah, you can't say
And I'm
them
not
ones.
in the mood. There's not been an opportunity for drinking 5 litres of beer all in one go recently. But at the moment, if any beer lovers out there, you go into Aldi, they've got a taster pack. Now, if your idea of a taster is a half a litre of beer, you're in luck because you've got 12 half-litre cans of German beer in that pack.
All big boy cans.
Big boy
Oh,
cans.
big boy cans. I love big boy. CVB brought out big boy cans.
And that's kind of one of the reasons that I'm not doing the German beers tonight because I'm like, well, I'll have 2 of them. It's the same beer. And I thought, you know what? This is Beer Buddy AU, right? So I'm going to drink Australian beers.
Oh
Beer Buddy
man,
AU.
I'm loving it. I love it. So when you look for okay, we'll get back onto the beers real quick. When you look for a stout, because seriously, I'm not a stout drinker. I don't mind a Guinness on the odd occasion, but they got to be out of like the can and have like a little ball.
Yep.
Don't really like the bottles. Like I use a bottle of Guinness if I cook. If I'm drinking it, it'll be a can. If that makes sense.
So yeah, because I made this mistake once, but it was years ago. It was still when I was at uni, so more than 25 years ago, and got the Guinness, and it wasn't the draft Guinness. It was just Guinness in a bottle. So no head. It's just like a basic stout.
It's cooking Guinness.
Nothing like the same. It's not that smooth, sort of the smoothness of Guinness.
Because the creaminess.
Actually, I mean, I don't call myself a beer expert, and we can go on about hops and stuff like that, and I hear too much of that, and I'm like, this is like learning stuff. I
love that shit.
Learn stuff.
Have you ever brewed yourself?
So Irish stouts, they're just a slightly different style. I had this conversation with one of the guys who works at Hopsters, right? Because me and my partner, we often go to the breweries. We'll go to a couple of breweries on a Sunday afternoon or something like Marrickville, or we've been down to Wollongong, so many to choose from. And I've just mentioned a couple tonight, like Slow Lane and One Drop. And you'll see porters and you'll see stouts. And then you'll see dark beers, and I'm like, what is the difference?
Porters?
And historically, no difference.
Okay.
It's all just terminology. It's all just semantics. If you want to call it a porter, call it a porter. Stouts used to be called stouts because they were a stronger, darker beer.
Okay.
There was nothing particularly different about the brewing process. They were just a heavier beer.
Oh.
So they were stout.
Okay.
And then porters come in, and you're like, well, what's a porter then? A porter is a beer that they just didn't want to call a stout, so they call it a porter.
Oh, okay. Because I find porters aren't as ashy.
Yeah,
I find porters aren't like, because
stouty.
It's really weird. Porters aren't as stouty as a stout, if that makes sense. They're not as ashy. They tend to be a little bit thinner, and I think, look, when those Guinnesses in the can, they're nitro. They got nitrous. Have you ever heard, do you know about that? You know how you can use CO2
Yeah.
to
So
pour
4
with, but you
pints
could
brewing do a good nitro stout.
yeah. See, like, and just you can pour them hard. Like they said, like I don't mind nitro beer. But porters, I
So
find they're heaps thinner. They're a bit easier to drink, and it's almost like they're like whiskey. I always thought they were like barrel aged or something like that.
some of them can be, some of them definitely can be, but then if you so the Imperials tend to be aged in often rum.
Okay.
They're often aged in old rum barrels, so they absorb that. That's why your Imperials tend to be 9% plus. Um, they can be very dangerous.
I know. I don't touch them.
I tell you what, and I don't have it at the moment. One Drop still do it. So One Drop's oatmeal stout is the best stout, and I'm a big fan of Guinness. I was a big fan of Guinness. When I was at uni, I drank a lot of Guinness, and the irony with Guinness is it's not actually all that strong or calorie laden. So
It's got heaps of vitamins and shit in it.
there's loads of calories. There's not.
It hasn't got heaps of vitamins and shit in it. It's like a steak in every glass.
Relatively, but most of that's marketing. I mean,
Okay.
lots of the pubs that I used to drink in my uni days, and I went to uni in Scotland, right? So
You'd know.
lots of the pubs, not even Irish pubs, but just old Scottish pubs, they'd have the stuff about the Guinness, and it was all marketing. It was all marketing.
There you go.
And Stout marketed it itself from early 20th century as being as being like the healthy option. But the irony about beer, certainly if you're talking about the UK, it was very common for people to drink beer, but beer was often very weak. Like 2-3% was the
because
standard beer.
the water was disgusting.
Yes, yeah. So you were guaranteed, and even back in medieval times, right? You had to boil the water to make the beer, so at least you knew it wouldn't kill you, and you weren't going to get cholera or E. coli or some other shit from the water supply. So if you were drinking this ale, it was 2%. You could drink it all day because for the volume that you would drink, you're not going to get intoxicated on 2% beers. It's like going to a festival where all they sell you is mid, right?
Fucking assholes.
And you're 12 beers deep, and you're like, I know I've had a drink, but this is like, you get into that weird sort of, I know I've had a drink, but I'm not drunk. And
it's annoying, and you just go to the toilet a lot. We were talking about this too. That's the thing, man. It's like, you can't, and this is why I like, have you had the Little Creatures Copper Ale?
No.
If you find it, it's at Dan Murphy's. Give it a go. It is red hot. It is so nice. It's just one standard drink. Like, if you're going out and you need to monitor and you don't want to worry about 1 point something, just get them. They are solid AF. They actually had them at the footy for a while. That was okay. You have a poltergeist. Fantastic.
I think with all the rain we've had, some of these,
it's been mental.
I've got the 2 downlights on, and this room that I'm in, so where the beer is, and the laptop at the moment is actually sitting on a pool table. So it's an ideal bar room, except the fact that just there is all the gear from the iron spokes, the base rig, merch boxes. And over there's all the laundry hanging out, because who knows what the fuck this weather is going to do, and I don't want to hang it out outside. But I don't know whether you get a bit of moisture into these bits, and then the downlights start flickering.
Yeah, I hate it. It's fucking shit. It's been non-stop raining. It's been sunny during the day and just raining all night at our down our area. It's been fucking horrible.
And then the bloody grass grows so long.
Yeah.
But it's too wet to cut.
Yeah.
First world problems, though.
I know, eh? Well, we're sitting in our nice rooms, surrounded by beer and. But man, I'll tell you, seriously, it's amazing what you're doing here. I'm so happy to be a part of it. Like, you know, you, I appreciate the credit, but I'll tell you what, if when I see something good, I'm getting behind it 110%. Especially now with the platform that I have here and stuff like that. It would be a disservice to the community that I was once a part of playing in bands and stuff like that to not try and help. And as soon as I saw the whole thing come out, like I was just like, it's fine. It's like someone's finally done it. Someone has finally taken the plunge because there is a community out here. There's a fucking solid community out in Southwest Sydney, and what I thought was very interesting the last time that you done this, like the first one, when you were getting the areas where all the people were coming from, and it was a decent spread. It was a decent spread, but there were so many people from the southwest. Like, it was mind blowing. It was mind blowing.
I mean, that was the thing that just sprang to mind. You know, because this isn't run as a business, but at the same time, you've got to have a bit of a mind to. Oh, there goes the poltergeist again. You've got to have a bit of a mind for just knowing who you're catering for and where are people coming from, and to a degree.
Oh, jeez.
To a degree, one of the things is we always set out to cater to as broad a audience as possible. So it was never even in my, never even a thing I was really considering to go to venues where it wouldn't be all ages. Because the biggest thing that was said, even from when I was talking very early with Sam and with Cassie and with Carl and stuff like that, is you go to Sydney and nearly none of the venues are all ages. But so many of our fans or people that want to attend gigs, they're parents, they've got kids, you know. There's only so much you can do, because if you put the gigs on really early in the afternoon and you finish really early and you completely cater to a family crowd, you're going to miss out on a lot of people. So, you know, you're not going to do that. But certainly we did gigs at Iron Spokes, and parents with little kids will go, all right, kids, mum and dad are going to a metal show. You can stay up till well past your bedtime because this band are fucking great. And we're going to go home at midnight.
Yep. All of a sudden, your parents are fucking cool.
You'll wear the consequences the next day, whatever. So being all ages was really, really important. And then, yes, somewhere where access. So it is in the pipeline that Camden Sports Club they've got planning and they've got development permission to get a lift installed.
Oh.
So that will make a big difference. Not only will it be a whole hell of a lot easier to load in sound gear and, you know, the backline and stuff like that, but a really important thing to me is access for differently abled people.
Yes.
Because, you know, most venues that I can think about in Sydney, there's some aspect to them where access isn't awesome. There's either steps inside or there's a couple of steps at the entrance and stuff like that. You know, obviously Sporties is upstairs. The venue where the bands play is upstairs. So, you know, you don't want to be inadvertently reducing the people, because that is another group of people that would want to attend gigs. But if there's a couple of stairs, if you're wheelchair bound, 2 stairs, that's it, you're done. I've got another light that isn't gonna get affected by this because that's disconcerting.
That's fine.
Give me one
Go
second.
do your thing. All right, everyone. So this is going to be an opportunity where I tell you guys to go check out Beer Buddy. Go check out Two Dudes Talk Music. This Thursday on Two Dudes Talk Music. That one. I've got to get my hand right. we got Singe. They played the Good Things Festival. So that should be pretty cool. We got Singe on Thursday night live. And then Friday on Beer Buddy. That one. We've got Small Gods. Local Sydney band. They're fucking mad. Get on that one. They just dropped a new track. It's Razor's Edge. It's fucking amazing. But yeah, let's get back into this chat. All right. Now, before we go any further, we got to make sure we tell everyone Decimator are on Two Dudes Talk Music on the 14th of December. That's next week. That's next Thursday. So make sure you're on for that one. That's going to be a very, very, very fun show. But more into Ram It Down. So what guitar is getting given away? It was a Squire pack. So it was a guitar, a bag, and an amp?
Yeah.
Jeez, man, come on.
So it literally is everything that you need to start playing guitar. And like, I jokingly dissed Squires, but I would underline that was a joke.
Yeah.
Because I am not massively into this whole thing. Like on stage, I tend to play a BC Rich Warlock, right? So I sing, I play guitar for Decimator, and my main stage guitar is a BC Rich Warlock, but it is not the top end. It is just the basic Warlock, and it's very hard to get because BC Rich doesn't have an Australian distributor at the moment. So it was your basic bog standard. I normally don't play trem. I normally play hard, a fixed bridge. And the only sort of upgrade, I guess, is I tend to use Fishman Fluence pickups a lot because I just love them. I just think they're great, built-in noise gates and stuff like that. But the Squires are very high quality. I mean, I don't think it makes a massive difference. And this is my opinion. I don't think it makes a bloody big difference where it comes out of. You can get duds coming out of great factories. You can get great guitars out of cheaper factories. I've got a couple of artist guitars. So they're Sydney company.
Dude.
I've got a couple of artists. I've got a basically a Les Paul, and I've got a 7-string. They're great.
Mate, this thing weighs a metric fucking ton. It is such a nice guitar. I used to hate these things. I got this. Oh, it's beautiful. Artist, sponsor, Ram It Down.
Yeah. Look, if we got a deal with Artist Guitars and they want to give us a guitar for a giveaway every month at Ram It Down, that'd be stupendous. So we're not quite sure. I said, a mystery benefactor. So I figured it's probably Father Christmas because, it is that time of year. It is December. We don't know, but whatever it is, we've got this starter pack. So
it's so good.
A decent guitar to start off, a practice amp to start off. Other than the fingers of John Petrucci, you don't need anything else to be able to start playing guitar.
Mm. And if anyone's like, you made that little crack, but I'll tell you what, don't matter about the guitar, it all depends on the person playing it.
And that's it. Look,
because I tell you
so the only other musical person in my family, none on my dad's side, but my mum's young brother was in a band back in the UK. Now, this is back in sort of 60s, and the sort of music that was popular at the time, because in those days, you weren't in a frigging band most of the time because you wanted to put your artistic expression out. You were in a band because you wanted to be the next big thing. You were in a band because you wanted to be massive. The Beatles,
you could get found.
Paul and John, that was their stated aim. Their stated aim was they were going to be really popular. That's why they wrote the songs. They wrote the songs to be popular. But so the only other musical person was my Uncle George, and he started out as the bass player with a band called The Mint, based around Leicester in the UK. They went over, they played Germany, they gigged a lot. They won both the TV talent shows that were going in the UK at the time. Nobody has ever done that.
So that would have been top of the pops?
No, these were the talent shows. So it was
okay.
Like something like New Faces, and I can't remember the name of the other one, but they won both of them. And in fact, the guy, he's called Alan Jones, but he is no relation to Alan Jones, the
radio person.
You want to call him over here, right? No relation. He's actually still going. He still performs some of the songs from Mint. But my Uncle George, bass player, became a drummer, and he had given a guitar to my older cousin. And he was like, my older cousin never really got into it, so he gave the guitar to me. Now, this was a pretty decent acoustic guitar, but I was in Iron Maiden, and it is very hard when you're starting to play an acoustic. So my thing would be, the first guitar you want to get, if you're learning to play guitar, should be an electric, because they're easier to play. You can play whatever you want. If you're into distortion, start with distortion. Why are you starting with an acoustic? Unless you want to play acoustic guitar stuff, don't start with an acoustic. They're a pain in the ass. They hurt your fingers. You can't play what you're listening to unless that's what you're listening to, right?
Okay, fair enough.
Start with something easy, get going, and then once you can play, you can go back to an acoustic and go, aha, look at me, I can play this thing, which is, I can play One by Metallica on an acoustic guitar if I want to. Even the riff right at the end, even the but you won't play that when you're just starting. So again, having a starter pack that's an electric, well done, Santa. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it's seriously, man. And when I see the chat and stuff like that, it is such a big community. So many people are behind doing what you're doing. And if any of the bands are watching, hurry up. Just tell me when you're free, and we'll get you on for one of these. We can talk about your stuff and ram it down. What's coming up? Get on me, buddy. But yeah. All I want is for this thing to go gangbusters. And look, I'm not talking about fucking, I just want people to understand what is actually involved in this, and the amount of community that's behind it. Because like you said, you got Cassie doing the graphic design stuff for it. I'm trying to do what I can, and so many people are getting really, really, really behind it. You got Pierfly or Piefly, I can never fucking say that right. Playing headline next week, next week now, next Friday, which I cannot fucking wait for. Cannot wait to see that. Finally get to see that. But man, what? Oh God, I can't ask anything that's going to be on next Thursday. I can't ask any questions like that because it's all for next Thursday.
I can look. You can ask it, and then it just depends on the answer, and I can swear.
No, we'll save it for next Thursday.
Hopefully, for next Thursday, I'm hoping, because we've started doing kind of whole band rehearsals on Thursday, and like I said a little bit earlier on, we're in a phase where we're starting to write some new material. So we should have all of us should all be here at Decimator HQ. So, maybe next week I'll zip it and let the other boys talk.
Yeah, all right. So this is one I genuinely like to ask, right? And I ask all my guests this. So, I'm a bright-eyed, full of hair, young 16-year-old boy, and I come running up to Lance, and I've got my guitar in my hand. And I go, Lance, if I wanted to start a band, what's the best 3 pieces of advice you could possibly give me to give me the best steps into being not successful in some sort of way? Success is always different depending on the person you ask. Just because you're famous doesn't mean you're successful.
Yeah, look, I think that's totally valid to us now and next week because, the irony in our band, there's only one person in Decimator with less band experience than me, and that would be Ethan, the other guitarist, because his first ever gig as part of a band in front of an audience was his first gig with Decimator last year.
Good stuff. It's a bit different
Ego on stage.
the way Raf's ask it, so I'll ask it a bit different. But I have been asking this question the whole time. You can go back and watch videos. Fucking.
So, look, I guess I had got this acoustic guitar. I think I was 13, and just thought, I was listening to Maiden, Priest, Megadeth, Metallica, wanted to do the band thing so much, but I had, and I think it was probably more common back then, and it's still common in certain other cultural backgrounds, right? A dad that was like, nah, you're studying, you're going to uni, you're getting, a profession and stuff like that. And in retrospect, he probably wasn't far wrong because it's the thing that's given me the ability to do what I do now. Whereas if I'd have maybe gone with what I really, really wanted to do at the time, I maybe wouldn't have had the freedom to be able to do what I can do now. However, 16-year-old self, I'd have been, get your driver's license so you've got a car because that's going to make everything a lot easier. You're going to have a second, you've got to have some other way of supporting yourself to do what you want to do, because it is not going to pay your bills for some time. And this is a thing that is common amongst all the bands when we chat, we do gig chats and stuff like that in the background, is so many of the bands, it's like you are literally making no money. It is a hobby.
Oh, it's negative dollars. Everybody's going to understand, man. When
no
you play in
money.
a band, it is negative. You are in the red every time you play a show.
So I think my advice would be, I don't want to kill your dreams, son, but if you want your dream to become a reality, you've got to accept that you need to have something else that supports you doing it. Until such a time that hopefully, and buddy, I wish you luck, genuinely, and I'll put you on at Ram It Down, and you come back to me through however many incarnations of the bands that you're in are, you've got to be able to support it until it will support you. And
solid dad advice.
It's the same in sports, I guess, as well. Unless you're super, super talented at sport, and
but you're one ACL injury away from that all fucking ending. You can't,
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I went to medical school with guys who would have been playing professional soccer, except they did their ACL.
Oh man, it's the same with friends with rugby league. It's all one ACL injury away, and especially if those professional athletes that you see, those are the lucky ones that never got those injuries at the fucking early age. Because I'll tell you what, if you do your ACL at 16, your bones are growing, and that shit ain't growing around it. It's just never the same.
Yep. And you've got several other people, particularly if you're in a sport which is popular in Australia, you're going to get overtaken by somebody else who didn't have that injury. And I say this about sport all the time when I have these chats. You've got a few strongmen or athletes sitting around and stuff like that. It's like, what determines podiums is injuries. How bad was your injury? How much did it take away from your training? It only gets worse as you get older.
100%.
But
you get brittle. You don't get stronger with age.
So, yeah, dream killing shit, right? But get a driver's license, because otherwise, how the fuck are you getting to rehearsal? Because your other bandmates aren't going to live next door to you. You know, you look at some of the bands, ironically, I mean, the one that comes to mind, there's two that come to mind immediately. And one is AC/DC, because you've got the Young Brothers. But the other one that came to mind, because I was talking to my teenage son about them, is Alien Weaponry.
Okay.
So, Alien Weaponry, the drummer and the guitarist singer are brothers. And they started their thing going, and then they got a school friend who came on who's pretty good at bass. They started when they were so young. I think they started essentially what was the band. I was reading the Wikipedia the other day. When they were like 9 and 10. So they already had this idea, okay, we're going to be a band. So your other piece of advice to the 16-year-old is, have you got a sibling? Because that's going to make it a whole lot easier.
Because half the work's already done.
So
You've already got
get a driver's license, pay enough attention so that you can get a job that isn't sucky and pays enough and is flexible to enable you to do the other shit that you want to do. And then there's that. Maybe that is that because I'm a dad of teenagers. Is that just advice?
Nah, man. You know what? It's actually
it's
seriously, it's actually really refreshing, because most of the time it's just like, don't listen to what anyone says and follow your dream. Look, and this is no offense to any of the people that say that stuff. It's solid advice, man. But I am a parent as well. And, you know, when my kids get to that age, they ain't getting the whole, oh, you can do it. No, they're getting cold truths. Like, nah, I've done this. Pick your style. Pick it well if you're going to pick something that you love. And if you decide to pick heavy metal, guess what? It sucks. You do this purely for the love. And I'll tell you what, you got to work 10, 20, if not 100 times harder than any pop artist out there. Because you ain't doing anything that anyone likes. You got to be a standout. You got to be the extra. You don't have to like I keep saying, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just got to do your shit solid as fuck, and you got to be the standout. And this is the big thing. I'm sure it's the same with people that want to get into pop, because everyone wants to fucking get into pop. You got to be that as well. You know what I mean? It's just artistry in general. Everyone loves art, so you just got to be the standout. But solid advice like that is foundations in order to, if you don't become famous, to become a sustainable musician.
Yeah.
And this is the big thing. I don't look at fame as in selling out fucking the Horton Pavilion and being able to do that shit. I look at it as being able to do what you love for a living. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to be fucking making billions. You just have to be making it sustainable and being able to live off your art. That is success.
So that is success. And I think it gets tainted or it gets twisted. It gets twisted by the spin of media, right? So, you know, you get spun the story about whoever the big band of the moment is, right? But what that completely misses is the other 100 bands almost exactly like them from the same background who you aren't hearing about.
Yep.
So the other thing that I would be saying, my other advice would be, don't be a dick. In fact, that is my number one life rule, right? I talk about this in Strongman. I've got friends in Norway and stuff. Don't be a dick. Because if you're not, you will get opportunities given to you because you're not a dick. Because you will be competing with a lot of people. And some of them are dicks. Now, they might not be intentionally dicks. They might just end up being dicks by, you know, from the other person's point of view. Oh, they never returned my call. They never replied to any message. I offered them this gig and I didn't hear from them for 3 days. Now, that might not be intentionally dickish behavior, But from my point of view, if I've asked you if you want a gig and you don't reply to me for 3 days, and this is entirely not aimed at anybody, nobody's in my.
No,
I'm
general
not
conversation.
thinking about anybody when I'm saying this. This is a general rule. Then I'm going to think they just didn't reply. That's a bit dickish. I might not, I won't write them off forever, but I'll be like, compared to somebody that's like, dude, I'll let you know later today. And then they let me know later that day. And then I'm like, there's stand up. So that would be my other big thing. I guess the first thing is be able to be in a band. If you haven't got your own way of getting to rehearsals and to gigs, how can you be in a band? And if you want to have your own form of transport, you've got to be able to fucking afford your own form of transport. So you're probably going to need to have a job. And the more that job allows you flexibility, the better you're going to be able to do the other things you want to do. And I guess it's almost got to be parallel, but, prioritize. I reckon I look back and I think of my time at med school, for example, and I certainly didn't spend most of my time studying medicine when I was at med school.
Of course not.
I spent most of my time studying shit like this, right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't studying it. It was just repetitive. It was the same drink over and over and over again.
Repetition is, that's how you meant to study.
But if I'd have been playing more guitar, maybe I'd have been where I am now sooner. Maybe. But I wouldn't have had the flexibility. I worked 100 hours when I first qualified. I couldn't have been in a band as a junior doctor. It would just been
But that's
no way of doing it.
See, that's when music was your escape from the monotony of your 100 hours a week. It wasn't your time then. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think especially with metal and stuff like that, that's the reason why everyone doesn't like it. It's because it hasn't found you yet. Metal finds you. You don't find metal. Metal picks you up when you need it. It came to you at the right time, whenever it came. For all of us, everyone has a different story. Everyone's story is so different when they first heard their first metal band. But you look at that. That was your escape from the monotony of uni and stuff like that. And now that you have the time and the capacity, you can turn it into art for everything that you've learned.
That's it. I mean, I honestly wish I had my French notebook from it would have been like year 8 or 9, because I wrote so many awesome lyrics.
You never know, man. One day, that's where you got to call mum and just be like, "Come on, mate, go through all the stuff, see what you can find."
Oh, look, you'll see because inevitably we'll debut some of these new songs. We're hoping so. We're going to headline Ram It Down in January.
Yeah, awesome.
Partly because we've got a band Automation. They're a local band. They're more death metal. They haven't played. They played their first gig in 15 years down in Victoria a month or two ago. But their bass player is a local guy. He was at the Ram It Down, not the last one. He was at the one before that. So we're getting Automation back on stage. Their second gig back together after years. And then we've got Step in Blood after that. And this is no disrespect to the other bands. I just can't remember every lineup of every month. And then we'll take the headline slot because we're kind of local. And hopefully we've got a single out by then. But we would hope to have a couple of the new tracks that we can debut live. And you'll see the sort of write songs about what you love as well. I guess that would be the other thing. Practice your craft. Practice, but practice in a way that makes sense to you. I'm a guitarist. My son plays drums. He also can play bass. He also can play guitar. He's a really annoying bastard. I hate those people.
Yeah.
Like Sam Moncrief, these people that can do everything. I hate them.
Fucking
I hate
sick our old drummer.
Or are you Evan Dwyer? Sometimes I'm not sure. It's the dreadlocks.
Yeah,
but
kills me.
But that would be so. Practice and practice in a way that makes sense. So, I've heard an interview with Kiko Loureiro, who was playing guitar with Megadeth until fairly recently, and he was very much about regimented, practice, scales, patterns, this, that, and then you'll go to, oh, his name's just escaped me. He was in Nevermore, and then he's in Arch Enemy now. Can't remember his name. Amazing guitarist, and he was like, you know what? Play stuff you can't currently play, and learn how to play it. And that is how you will get better at the stuff you can't do.
Yeah.
That will suit you fine. And that's how I tend to learn. I get so bored doing non-musical practice. I'd rather play songs. So I'll pick songs. Okay, I can't play that. That's a little bit different. That picking pattern's a bit different. Maybe even genres that I wouldn't normally play or listen to.
That's a big one. I always tell singers to do that. Anytime I gave Eric this advice, it's just like, he's like, oh, how can you step up your singing practice? Like, sing shit that you either hate, because it'll force you to learn how to do things that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Or sing things that you enjoy but you would never expect to be singing in your life. Pick shit that's so far out of your range and just try. Because at the end of the day, work outside your limits, so that way when you're playing with your band, inside what you want to do is that much better, and it's that much more effortless, so you're not working as hard.
Yeah.
It's like working out.
Look, I think in terms of guitar, there's an awful lot of stuff out there that there wasn't when I started. There was no, Songster and Ultimate Guitar and tabs and things like that to find just somewhere to start. There was plenty of tab books.
Yeah, but you used to have to pay like 30 or 40, upwards of $50 for them.
But I went to a couple of vocal coaches. I went to Sarah Vella, who was working at MacArthur Music Academy, and I'll give them a shout out because the guys at MacArthur Music Academy are amazing. My son started going there for drum lessons with Rhys Denton 7 years ago or something like that. My daughter went there, did vocal lessons. I did some vocal lessons, just because of realizing, because it was the often thing in a band, right? Okay, we need a singer. The singer doesn't turn up, so we still need a singer. Oh shit, I'll do it then. All right, and then to a degree, okay, now we've got one less person to worry about getting to rehearsal because you're doing two things rather than one. And I won't go into all of the stuff about vocalists and singers right now because, that would be inappropriate.
No. We're pretty shit. We're pretty
but
shit.
You probably didn't meet any of the stereotypes, right?
Oh, I fit into every single one of them. The only difference was I never missed a show. Never. If my ass had to hit stage, the only way I was missing a show is if I was in the hospital. Chances are, though, a couple of times before I went on stage, I probably should have gone to the hospital. But that was fine. I was a fucking train wreck. If I knew what I do now, shit would be a lot different.
That's, I think if you can't say that in life, you have probably lacking insight.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's like Muhammad Ali said it best. The 40-year-old that still sees through the eyes of a 20-year-old has missed 20 years of their life. And I'm like, that hit me so hard. Man, I was a train wreck. I apologise to every single one of my bandmates. I was good. I could have done better. Shit happens.
Such is life.
That's it.
As another famous Australian once supposedly said.
I ain't going to argue with him. But I'll tell you what, they're all doing pretty well. We're all doing pretty well. Just miss the camaraderie.
I guess for vocalists, I was not blessed. I'm not a natural singer. But through vocal coaching and through a big part of it, certainly more recently, was Ian Dixon, who's now in the band Devoid Altar. He's sang with Gods of Eden. He's had a couple of other projects going on. And I went and saw Ian just a handful of times, but there was a few things that he said for me that just clicked. And I will fully admit to not practicing them all on stage at all times, because I'm also thinking about several other things when I'm on stage other than vocals, like playing guitar and stuff like that. And also often I've probably organised the gig, so I'm probably thinking about, certainly when I play Ram It Down, you know, and
I've got you,
other
man.
things.
Don't worry.
But
We'll sort it out. We'll look after you. You just relax and enjoy your show and put on a mad show. We'll look after you.
But,
we know we got you.
Yeah, that would be the other thing I would give advice to is get lessons, but the lessons that you really need are more from other musicians. I went and saw Dave Eaton. So Dave Eaton at MacArthur Music again. He's sort of the co-founder of Anubis, the prog band. But I didn't so much go and see Dave on how to play guitar, because I knew how to play guitar. It was more, how do I do this as a band in terms of getting a bit of feedback before we were playing live and stuff like that. Thoughts on, you know, how do you do it interesting? So I tend to write songs as well that are different to each other. So yeah, you don't want to reinvent the wheel, because you're not going to. Everything under the sun has already happened.
There's only so many notes on a guitar. There's only so many tunings that you can play. All notes have been played. All scales have been played. You're not doing anything.
So how do you keep yourself interested and keeping writing stuff that you go, oh, that's fucking cool. I haven't done that before. So that would be the other thing that I would be saying to the 16-year-old is get some lessons, but don't get lessons off somebody who's never, if you want to be in a band, don't get lessons off somebody who's never been in a band.
Yeah.
They're the wrong person, because the stuff that they can give you in terms of experience and the way they give it, the context in which they're teaching you is going to be different. Now, there probably aren't very many. Well, actually, no, I think there are actually quite a few music teachers who probably have not been in bands. And make sure they're in a band that's relevant to what you want to end up doing. Because although you're jazz guitar guy, in terms of the theory and stuff like that, fantastic. But in terms of what they're going to be able to give you as that value add, that I think I've seen it with the guys at MacArthur Music, and I can't speak for other places, and I will make no apology for, you know, repping them, because they're just awesome people, is the stuff that's additional to the lessons of theory, the techniques, the go away and do this. It's the bigger picture, because if you can't get that, you're not getting what a true teacher in music can give you, which is that bigger perspective.
I think a big thing is stage coaching. I think there needs to be more. I don't know if stage coaching is a thing, but I find with a lot of bands, you're all rigid. You all don't look like you're enjoying yourselves, and you know how. And I know you guys are enjoying yourselves, but and this is one thing me and the band always did. The way you practice is the way you will play on stage. Listen to the words that I'm saying. The way you practice is the way you will play on stage. So if you're all standing in a circle, staring at each other at practice, that is going to be your go-to thing. It's called fucking muscle memory for a reason. So when you're balls deep in that solo and you keep on staring at your fucking drummer instead of staring at the crowd while you're like owning that fucking solo, it's noticeable by me, because I've played in a band. Don't know about the rest of them, can't speak for everyone else, but I notice it. The way you practice is the way you will play on stage. Move. You've played these songs fucking 100 times before. Move. The biggest and best bands, move. Look at Wes Borland. Look at what Limp Bizkit. I've heard nothing but positive feedback about every single Limp Bizkit show. They are seasoned, they're seasoned veterans. But one thing every good band knows how to do is have the crowd eating out of their fucking hand, is because they are so, and it comes down to trust. And this is the biggest fucking thing with band people. If you trust the people around you, I don't need to look at you. You're going to be there when I need you. When the drummers, and it all boils down to your drummer, especially in metal, when the drummer's there, I'm there, my guitarist's there, my bassist's there. We're all there. It doesn't matter where I am on the stage. I don't need to be, I can go to this mic, I can go to that mic, you got to be able to fucking move. I want it interesting. And that is what Chronic done so well. Chronic had fun up there. I want you to have fun. Because I don't know if you're going to fuck up your song. I ain't heard your fucking songs before. Who the fuck? Come on. Let's be honest. How many people have heard your songs before? Come on. Have fun. I want fun. I want the energy. You mosh, I mosh. That's the way it's got to be. You got to get it. Yeah. Everything you give in there is solid advice. The reason why I say this is because I was in my fucking 20s and I used to drive my drummer around everywhere because he was a solid fucking drummer and I didn't want to lose him. So I'm like, I'll drive you wherever you want to go. Wherever. I'll pick you up. I'll drop you home after practice from fucking Retherill Park into Roseville or Roselle, wherever the fuck it is. Because I'm like, you're a good drummer. Until he had a bong. And then he wasn't a good drummer. It was the only... I accept that there's probably like a 70% chance that your drummer's going to be a little bit cooked. Comfortable with it. Drummers, you guys are a breed of your own. You guys pick that, not only the hardest instrument to play, but the hardest instrument to fucking lug around everywhere, to get in and out of places. You guys are suckers for punishment. Out of anyone. My hat goes off to every single metal drummer in Australia. I love you all. You guys are amazing people. This particular drummer, I'm not going to mention his name, he was a great guy. He was a really nice guy, but he was the only drummer I ever met where we'd be like sitting in a car, having a couple of hot ones, and we'd be like, okay, you're going to go drum? And he couldn't drum anymore. He just couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it. But he was so good. When he was on, he was fucking on. Like, he was on. But, yeah, solid as foundations. Get yourself a license. Make sure you can get yourself fucking around to places. Or at least take your other band members. Because you'll be the fucking backbone of the band if you've got a car. Practice. One thing I will say is, though, I do agree to some point, practice what you enjoy, but when you learn those like finer skills, because I'm trying to go back with the guitaring now, and I'm finding when you learn those little bits of scales, you're like halfway through it and you're like, hold on a second, that's this song. And it's just those, it gets your ears in tune. I find when you go back to those sort of basics and stuff like that. But I do understand what you're saying. I do not agree with the whole, you know what? Try writing with an acoustic. The only reason why I say is this. My dad gave me this advice, and when I was playing guitar in a band, it works so well. If it sounds good on your acoustic, right, when you're writing riffs and stuff like that, if it sounds good on an acoustic, it will sound so much better when it's on an electric guitar with distortion. Just for your riffs. Give it a try. Get back at me. Alright? Don't knock the idea on its head. Just give it a try.
Jeff Loomis.
Jeff Loomis is
the guitarist whose name I couldn't remember. So he's the guy that said, practice playing stuff you can't already play. That is how you get better. Look, it's true that if you write it on an acoustic, it'll probably sound better. But I'm very much into, there's a difference in sound and there's a difference about the way you play it.
Okay.
And I guess it depends where you come from. I mean, it's like some people will write the songs and piano and then transpose them and the other way round. So I think it just comes down to the way you gel with it, the way that you feel comfortable. You know, you wouldn't say, oh, write it on an electric guitar without the distortion on. Look, you might do that. Sometimes I do that, but I want to hear the way I'm hearing it in my head. And if I'm hearing it in distortion, I'll play it in distortion. And that just works for me. I think once you've got those skills, translating what you hear in the head and learning how that works for you. And to a degree, that is everything I say. I think everything else is, as we've discussed, sound life advice is part of it. You know, that basics. Don't be a dick. Learn how to do the thing you want to do and practically enable yourself to do it. Don't be like, oh, I want to be in a band so much. Dude, you don't have your driving license. You've not made any effort to make any money so that you can get to practice and keep up with your bandmates, because your bandmates will not appreciate all the time unless they're in a position to be able to easily, which if they're all the same age, they won't be able to front you money for this and front you for money for that. So it becomes unsustainable. And that's kind of what you said. Your sustainability. How are you going to carry on doing what you want to do if you've got no way to be able to do that? So, yeah, oh, man, that was so depressing, right?
No, look, man, you can't... Too many kids
but it's true.
But too many kids... Look, especially with the internet now and stuff like that, I know with rappers, it is fucking heinous the way they just throw cash around and shit like that. It's not sustainable. Do you know what I mean? And like the biggest thing is that you got to like a lot of your homie's birthday. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You're gonna pass up the show? You're gonna go to the birth? Oh, you're gonna pass up the show? You're gonna go to the birthday? It's like being a musician is like one of the most selfish fucking things. Because if you want to make it just like and you look. You fucking hear it from so many pros that are making the big bucks. Ask them what they've missed. Ask them the amount of shit they've missed with their families. I heard one with it wasn't Ludacris. Busta Rhymes, right? Busta Rhymes. Busta Rhymes did a show in some city during his son's graduation. And he was asked to be on it by some rapper, and that particular rapper didn't show up. Whatever. He's gone back home, right? Threw his son a mad party and stuff like that, but he could tell his son was pissed. Because he missed the actual graduation. But then the kid doesn't understand that what put you into school and what paid for this party and all this stuff was that show. But then the twist on that whole thing is that the son didn't ask for the party or any of that. Son just wanted him at the graduation. And this is a big thing with fucking any sort of art, like especially music, especially if you want to be a touring band. Man, there's sacrifice. You're gonna look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger is a fucking perfect example when he won Mr. Olympia. And his father died a couple of...
I'll point out that that's a myth.
Oh, okay. I thought he actually...
Because of course, I'm into training.
Yeah, okay.
So he did the whole story in Pumping Iron, okay? But some of those stories, he stole them. Oh. So he actually borrowed that story from a boxer It was maybe Sugar Ray Leonard. It was one of those guys. But it was a boxer who had a fight. And during his fight camp where he was doing all his prep, his father did die. And he did not go back for the funeral because he was in fight camp. He was going to fight for a world championship or something in, the next couple of weeks. So it is true of sportsmen. I know guys through some of the sports I've been involved with who literally have said, yeah, that is what they did. They trained that hard. They were world champions 6 times, but the cost of doing that was his marriage. So I think actually, we talk about sacrifice. I guess that would be the other thing to sort of, and this is just general life advice, right? Is if there's something that you want to do and you want to be good enough at it, you're going to miss shit. So whether it's art, whether it's music, you got a gig, missing birthdays because you were working, you were on a shift. These are sacrifices that you make no matter what you do. I guess the difference might be if you're not actually earning any money doing it, you're missing these occasions because of your hobby. But you know what? It's about how you contextualize that for your kids, whether they understand it. And your very good point. Did he put all of that stuff on for his son because he needed to, because that's what the son wanted? Or is it kind of a bit of misplaced guilt? I mean, I think we're erring towards the latter, right? In that particular case, if you're doing anything in life and you're going to do it, and you're going to do it because you're committed to it, because you've made that commitment to yourself or to other people, because playing a gig, if it was Busta Rhymes, there's a lot of people relying on that gig. You can't just suddenly change the date.
No, you can't.
It's like every day I'm at work, if I take a day off, there's potentially 20 people that don't get the service they wanted that day from me. So yeah, the difference thing is that is getting paid for.
Yeah.
So, I'm particularly cognizant these days of, okay, well, you're going to do this particular thing, which means you can't do another thing, and you're not earning any money for that. It's not making anything else sustainable. So question whether you're doing it. But again, in terms of being authentic to yourself and doing what is important to you and your own mental health, it's that balance, I guess. So, your life is all about these choices, and some of them are going to be hard. So I think, it would again be the boring dad advice, which would be, and some of the time you're going to have to make some tough choices about what you decide to do on that given day, whether it be about music, whether it be about something else. But it comes back to rule number 1, don't be a dick. And who are the important people to you, and letting them down versus you, try not to be a dick about it.
And you know what? Chances are, if you're not a dick, when you do, if you have to let them down, they might not be as fucking hard on you on it. They might understand a bit more.
That's why it should be rule number 1.
I like that, man. See, this is what I'm talking about. We're fucking solving the world's problems. That's what I'm talking about. We're going to end this here because we've hit the 2-hour mark. Lads, I'll tell you what, man, this has been a great chat. I'm so happy to be involved in everything that's involved with Ram Downfest and the opportunity you've given me to get involved with it. I don't think I really gave you a choice, but that's not the point.
Well, I'm not a dick, and
Exactly.
therefore, when somebody offers to help, just to help the community, to help the thing, you'd have to be. I think it would be a pretty dickish thing to actually turn that down. And that's rule number 1.
Rule number 1, man, you stay true to all your rules, and I'll tell you what, I cannot wait to hear this Decimator album. I cannot wait to have you on with Raph, because Raph's going to love all you boys so much. It's going to be really interesting because we have this real weird back and forth. I respect I respect all you people that do mass bands and the theatrics and stuff like that, but I take comfort. I take comfort over show any day. That's probably why I'm a failed musician. But yeah, I can't wait for Raf to meet you guys. Seriously, everything that you're doing, man. I appreciate it. The community appreciates it. The bands appreciate it so fucking much. You're just a fucking legend. Love this guy. He's a fucking legend. Alright, sure. We're going to catch you, or I'm going to catch you, with Raf on Thursday. With Singe. Then Friday, you got another beer buddy with Small Gods. And then fucking any bands, if you're watching, that are on Ram It Down. Come on. Jump on.
Yep.
I'm not begging. Yeah, I'm begging. Fuck yous. I'm going. I'm ending the stream. Catch us later. Lance, you're an absolute legend. Thank you so much for jumping on this Monday night.